Hi, this is Chris, Chap in the Cap Motor Legends. Today I'm going to talk to you about a new single layer motorcycle jean from the Swedish brand Halvarssons. Halvarssons. For many years, Halvarssons has been one of our favourite brands here at Motor Legends. Long have we banged on about the fact that Halvarssons offers, 80% of the functionality of Rukka for 50% of the price. And we still don't think that in that assessment we are far wrong. But like Rukka, Halvarssons' forte is technical gear for commuting and touring, probably with a little bit of venture riding thrown in for good measure. The Halvarssons customer is probably a little bit older than the average Rukka customer. They're more interested in functionality than in aesthetics, and the Halvarssons customer seeks value for money. Basically, he wants gear that does what it says on the tin. Very rarely do you see Halvarssons clothing discounted, but it doesn't need to be, because most people agree that you get a lot of bang for the buck. Now, Halvarssons has never, as a brand, been particularly big on style. There's certainly no Rokker, there's no Belstaff, there's no Spiddy, which is why perhaps they've never been particularly strong on jeans. In fact, historically, they have produced some pretty horrid jeans. And at the time when Kevlar jeans were starting to become a little bit more normal, that they were starting to look a little bit more like street jeans, Halvarssons still managed to make them look embarrassingly ugly. Sometimes they were made up of so many panels that they looked like some kind of quilted duvet that had been knocked out by a Cabbage Patch doll. And while some people liked them, the fit was usually more comatose than relaxed. Over the years, whenever we've gone to see Halvarssons' latest collection, when they presented to us their latest riding jean, we found it, I admit, hard not to giggle. A few years ago they came out with a jean called the McCann. Technically it was a single layer jean, but they managed to make it so thick and heavy that it kind of defeated the object of having a single layer jean. It was heavier, in fact, than a lot of 100% line jeans. Now some people got on with those jeans, but I have to admit they weren't quite our cup of tea. So last year when we went to see Halvarssons and they presented to us their latest effort in terms of jeans, we saw it as an opportunity to take a quick comfort break. Our expectations, I have to say, were far from those of Charles Dickens' Pip. But this time, by golly, it would seem that Halvarssons might just have gone and darn well cracked it. Let's explain why. This is the jean we're talking about. It's called the Rogen and it's a single layer jean. It's made from aramid fibres that are woven in with the cotton and elastane. Now, aramid fibres don't always make for the lightest single layer jeans, but there's absolutely nothing wrong with the Rogens in that department. They're not perhaps PMJ light rather, nor are they quite Rokker Legend light. But if you were to take the armour out of these, you'd have no issue wearing these jeans all day long. You wouldn't think that they were a protective jean at all. And with the stretch component that's woven into the fabric, we think they're going to be particularly comfortable for riding the bike. Now, these jeans are still Halvarssons, so you wouldn't expect them to be super trendy, overly slim or aggressively tapered. And frankly, they're not. If you want that boy band look, we've got, as we've mentioned already, the PMJs. And then, of course, there are the various variants of the tapered slim jean from Rokker. Now, we love our Rokker jeans. But whilst they are not overly slim in our view, we still get issues with some people, those people who have rugby player calves or rowers' calves. And some people do find that the rise at the front of the jean and at the back of the jean, they find the rise on Rokkers simply too low. And so we are not unhappy with the way that the Rogen jeans fit. In fact, truth be told, we've been looking for just such a jean. We just didn't think it was going to come from Halvarssons. I suppose we'd describe the jean as having what one might call a dad fit. They're not overly baggy. In fact, they look just like a regular jean. I think they look great. They also have a slightly higher rise at the back, which is going to come in useful when you're on the bike, because if your jacket lifts up, it's going to give you a little bit of extra cover. Now, most people will not have a problem with the way they wear. Although if you're the kind of person who cannot commit to a relationship with a pair of jeans without spending 20 minutes looking at yourself in the mirror first, then maybe these jeans are not for you. There's some other stuff that you should know. The jeans come fitted with softish level 2 armour. This is the stuff. I suppose I might say it's not quite a D3O, but it's very pliable, it's very easy to wear, so I think the armour is not bad at all. A lot of people, when they've got a jean, will want to zip the jean into a jacket for an added level of security. And usually what we do if someone buys a pair of Rokkers or buys a pair of PMJs, we recommend Halvarssons waist zip. You put it on your jeans by weaving your belt in and out of your belt loops. And it means that you can then connect any pair of jeans to a Halvarssons pant or a Rukka pant. And we can normally create a connector that means that you can connect the jeans, therefore, to any jacket. But the Rogens come with a zip already sewn into the waist. That's going to be useful to a lot of people. As I've implied, that means you can immediately zip this into a Halvarssons jacket or a Rukka jacket, and again, we can create a connector that will enable you to connect it to any jacket. The problem is that by having the zip sewn into the waist, it kind of detracts when it comes to the cool stakes. It means that the jeans just look a little bit less like a pair of Levi's than one might have wanted. We do think that Halvarssons has got one thing wrong with these jeans, and that's the leg length. The jeans only come in 2 leg lengths. Now, Rokker jeans come in a 30-inch leg length, a 32-inch leg length, a 34-inch leg length, and a 36-inch leg length. The Halvarssons jeans only come in 2 leg lengths. One's a 30/31 and the other's a 28/29. But the problem is that when you get a bike jean, you need a length of leg that's 2 inches longer than a street jean. So as it stands, even the longer jean is not going to be much good if you've got an inside leg measurement that's much over 30 inches. And that's me, and I don't consider myself to be in any way tall. In fact, a lot of people say I'm just very short. So if you're much above, let's say 5'7", 5'8", you may have a problem with these jeans. And in terms of the shorter leg length, the 28-inch leg length, which implies an inside leg measure of 26 inch, who's going to want that pair? All I would say is, if that person comes into the shop, please be careful because we have lots of sharp edges on these tables. But to compensate for the leg length issue, there are 2 real kickers with these jeans. The first is that they are rated AAA under EN 17092. That's the highest, most protective level. Now, as a company, we are not usually advocates of chasing AAA for its own sake, because the higher standard will often come at the expense of comfort and wearability. But I have to assure you there's no issue here. These jeans are AAA rated and they're as easy to wear as any jeans we sell. In that respect, there's nothing not to like about these jeans. The second issue is price. The jeans cost just, and this hurts me, the jeans cost just £199. And for us here at Motor Legends, that's quite upsetting because, frankly, that's just not enough money for a jean that's this good. In conclusion, we think that Halvarssons has kind of cracked it, and they've done it in some style. These jeans are going to work well on a lot of people. We had a small initial delivery in, and every single person who tried on a pair of these jeans ended up buying them. Now, that doesn't even happen with Rokker jeans. And I think that many people who have found in the past that protective jeans just didn't work on them for whatever reason or another are going to find that these jeans do, because they have a slightly more relaxed fit. The only problem with the jeans as they stand is the leg length, but we're sure that Halvarssons will be working on that to fix that, because that's a key issue. At present, anyone approaching 6 foot is not going to work in these jeans. The truth is that there is room in this market for lots of different brands of jeans and lots of different styles of jeans. A lot of people will still prefer, in our view, the style and aesthetics of a pair of Rokker jeans. But the Rogens are still light years ahead of many Kevlar-lined jeans in the market in terms of the way they look, in the way they feel, and the way they wear. And if being comfortable and well protected is what you are all about, then the Halvarssons Rogen jeans, frankly, are going to be very hard to beat. So that was the upsettingly inexpensive Halvarssons Rogen jean. If you'd like to see more protective jeans or more Halvarssons gear, visit the website motorlegends.com. To learn more about the Rogen jean in particular, then if you click on one of the links on the screen, sometimes they're up there, sometimes they're down there, that would take you to a dedicated page on the website. When you're there, you can check out the spec in a little bit more detail, you can check availability, and obviously if you want to buy a pair, you can do that there and then. Now, when you buy from us, we try to make the process as simple, straightforward and risk-free as we possibly can. There's no delivery charge on any item of protective wear that you buy from us. Returns are totally free, and what's more, we give you a full 12 months in which to decide whether you do want to return something to us. Now, we have the best price promise in the business. John Lewis was rightly famed for its never-knownly undersold price promise, but we go one stage better. If you can find anyone selling anything that we sell at a price that is lower than ours, we will beat that competitor's price by a full 10%. Now, there are a few terms and conditions associated with what we call our price beat. So if you are going to attempt to price beat us, go over to the web and check out what those terms and conditions are. But I can tell you, there's nothing particularly onerous. If in the future you'd like to see bulletins from us about new product launches, then again, if you go to the top of the website, there's a piece of script there that says newsletter sign up. Click on there, within seconds you'll be in business. If, however, you prefer to get your information videographically, that is to say in this form, then we'd be simply delighted if you wanted to become a subscriber to our YouTube channel. And you can do that by clicking on the button below. I'd like to finish with mention of our fabulous little shop here at Motor Legends. We're based here about a mile from the centre of Guildford, a mile from the railway station, and as I've suggested, it's a small shop. It's got a small footprint, but it's attached to our warehouse where we have more than £4 million worth of motorcycle gear arranged over 3 floors. Technically, that makes us the second largest motorcycle store in the UK, but we are far more, in our view, than just the amount of merchandise we have here in the building. We're all about service, we're all about personal fitting. If you want to check us out, we have the highest 5-star ranking on Trustpilot. And when you come and see us, we will serve you only the finest Italian illy coffee, or we'll serve you proper Yorkshire tea in a proper teapot. And who knows, if you're lucky, you might even get to sample one of our delicious motorcycle-shaped shortbread biscuits. Anyway, this is Chris. I hope to talk to you again soon.